Hi. Thank you. I'm in an extraordinary position. I don't need to work for at least 2 years and don't have any financial concerns doing that. I want to use that time wisely because I want a big life. When I'm at home and I'm with myself, I really feel wonderful about this and so blessed to be in this position. And I'm virtual realitying my acting career, my yoga teaching, my trips to far off places. And then when somebody asks me about it, tends to be people that I'm just meeting. And I've moved to a new city, so I'm just meeting a lot of people. And somebody asks, what do you do? I can feel my vibration just...
Well, you know why?
No.
Because in the moment that you are interacting with another who asks you a question and you begin to answer the question, now, at many levels of your being, you're trying to factor in their response to what you're about. In other words, no one, even those who live with you, no one can understand your points of vibrational relativity. And the more you talk to them, the more you integrate what they're doing and thinking. Most people wouldn't even really like you because you don't have to work. It's just crummy that you're not out there in the salt mines like they are. And please don't ever earn more than them. In other words, you see what we're getting at. And so
yes.
What's happening is in your sensitivity to energy, you are concerning yourself with more than your 2 points of vibrational relativity. And whenever you do that, chaos ensues. So what you want to do is get some answers together. In other words, when you control the conversation, you get to take it where you want it to be. When you let someone else begin asking you questions, then they're going to take it where they want to be. So it's helpful to figure out what the questions are that they might ask and have some answers. People say to Jerry and Esther as they're traveling around, what do you do? They drive this big, magnificent monster bus. It's clear that they're prospering and thriving in many ways. And they're in it all the time. In other words, they're obviously not off working. Most of the time they're in this bus with people around them in wonderful parts of the world where people like to vacation. And so people will say, what do you do? And Jerry will say, well, we're authors. And they say, oh, that's nice. And usually that's the end of it. And occasionally someone will say, well, what do you write? And Jerry usually says, books. In other words, there's no point in going there if they're not ready to go there. In other words, he can feel if they're ready to go there. They say, what kind of books? And Jerry and Esther will say, oh, just on living a better life. And most people say, that's nice. I'd sure like to live a better life, as they grumble away. Some will say, oh, those must be very good books. What is the secret to living a very good life? And if someone goes that far, then Jerry and Esther will say, we have a book. They'll hand them a book. But usually, and we would say in more than 99% of cases, the people who are asking are not really looking for the answers that Jerry and Esther are capable of giving them. They're making light conversation, usually, or curious conversation. And if Jerry and Esther reveal more of themselves to those people than they are ready to receive, then it will introduce chaos into Jerry and Esther's experience. You see what we're getting at? Happens to all of you. So you want to be sensitive to where people are, but you want to trust that law of attraction is bringing those to you with whom you can interact. So you just figure out some things that you say. People say, what are you doing? And you say, oh, I'm just trying to decide what I'm going to do when I grow up. That'll head them off. And if they're really pushy, they will say, well, is there any sign that you're going to grow up anytime soon? And you would say, hopefully not. The happiest people I see haven't grown up, and most of the grown-ups all are that happy, so I'm just doing my best to put off growing up. But I'm looking forward to it. In other words, just be playful with them. Don't give people answers that you know they can't handle. When you give people answers that they can't handle and they're up close to you, they're just going to have their meltdown in front of you, and because you care about how people feel, you're going to be in on their meltdown. That's really essentially what's happening.
Awesome. I do have a question. I appreciate the humor and the I'm deciding what I want to be when I grow up. But in kind of taking that kind of route sometimes, I feel like a flake. It makes me feel very flaky.
Some of the most magnificent creators we know, by your standards, would be considered flakes.
Ah, right.
Do you know the majority
Yeah.
of the masters on your planet didn't have an education? That's flaky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most of them were not employed by someone else, couldn't hold down a job. Many of them were put in jail
Right.
for being different, you see. In other words, flaky, 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 criminal derelict. In other words, the flake factor is without question you carrying what somebody else thinks.
Oh.
And that's what
Still
this
there.
whole gathering is about. We want you to rank yourself in so that the only thing that you care about are your 2 points of vibrational relativity. Your 2 points of vibrational relativity, that's all. How you feel is what really matters, you see. If you said to us, I'm staying home, I'm really worried about money, we would say, well, we want you to do some work on closing the vibrational gap. But when you say, I'm not worried about money, I know wonderful things are happening, I'm doing virtual reality, and the only time I ever get uncomfortable is when I try to explain it to somebody who can't possibly begin to understand because they haven't lived in my shoes, they haven't walked in my contrast, they haven't launched my rockets of desire, they don't know how my inner being feels, they don't know what this point of vibrational relativity is, they don't know where I am, they don't know anything about my crack, they don't know anything about the processes that I do, they don't know anything about my vibrational relativity. They don't know anything about it. So why, in my attempt to socialize myself and fit in with them, would I put all of that aside, pay no attention to my own guidance that I was born with for this very reason, and try to please them? Oh, no, not them, them. Oh, yeah, them and them and them. Oh, yeah, them and them and them and them, 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 them and them and them and them. Oh, them and them and them. Oh, no, this new person that I just met.